Spawning here in the bottom left in the blue, he is, of course, representing Dragon Phoenix Gaming. Give it up for Zest. And his opponent in the upper left in the red for Team NV, he is DRG. And of course, we got the probe moving across the map. This is just real standard at this point. What I do think is interesting, though, is it not Zest, but I've seen a couple Protoss players start to go and not send their probe across the map because they understand that the Zerg will assume that the probe's going to get sent across the map. So the Zerg is going to take the natural at the third base anyways. And well, then that's just a bit of an advantage, right? If you don't send your probe across the map on a pylon timing, but you send it across the map a little bit later, it works out pretty well for you. But anyways, I need to go refill my water bottle. I wanted to make sure I didn't miss the lobby, so we're gonna put you on steadfast camera, or whoever number 5 is. We're gonna put you on their camera, and we're gonna be right back, or I'm gonna be right back. All right, I am back. What did I miss? Okay, so it's a Stargate opener here from Zest, and behind that there is a Twilight and a Robo. So an iteration of the Zest, or of the stats build. Oh, I'm sorry, that's a squeaky chair. An iteration of the stats build, where you do get your Stargate opener and you try to convince the Zerg that you're going for a straight up third base build. But of course, there's gonna be no third base here, and DRG has scouted that it is 4 minutes, it's 4:20, and there is no third base. So this should tell him everything he needs to know, is this will be a massive attack. Ew, oh, this is pretty cool. This is something that really hit the ladder and killed a lot of Zergs for like a week. The week after we saw the, not just ladder in tournaments, pretty much the week after the Void Ray change, the Void Ray buff, where you saw Protoss players taking their 5-odd-minute third base. And well, because of Stargate and Void Rays, you saw Zerg at that point still being rather greedy, not going for kind of these Roach Ravager Queen pushes. So that meant that you're going for anything that deals with the Stargate units. Huh? I was about to say, but man, it's gonna be a really cool charge lot It's gonna be a really cool charge lot Immortal Archon all in with a couple Void Rays to knock down the roaches. But we have +1 air attack on the way. Okay, that's canceled. Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm like, that doesn't make any sense, Zest, but I guess he kind of autopiloted that one because he's been doing a lot of like +1 carrier builds too as of late. And I guess maybe he just got his wires crossed just a little bit, but he canceled it. No harm, no foul. Getting the refund there. And so we will have Archon drops coming on in, and that's going to be something. Actually, you know what? There's really not a lot to defend here. How many roaches do we have on the map? We don't. So actually, this is going to get a lot of done here. We're going to see so many where the queen's going to go down. Of course, that's thing number 1. And 6 drones as well. This is honestly the most successful Archon drop I've seen in a long time. And of course, behind this, here comes the attack here from Zest. We have a bunch of charge slots. We have a bunch of Archons. We have like the 1 Void Ray, and it's all going to move across the map. And what does DRG have? Well, he's back into drones. He thinks this is just an Archon drop, but now the Zealots are getting warped on into the main base. Queens are going to try to get on top of the War Prism. They will get it, but not in time, as all the Zealots are going to go on down. Or the Zealots are going to finish warping on him, which means the Queens are all going to die. And now it's just Protoss swarming everywhere. The roaches are getting surrounded. The kiting is not good enough. And this 1 Void Ray, well, it's going to kill off some Overlords too. So everything in the main base is dead. That's just going to be it. Zest. He takes game 1. What a cool build there from Zest in game number 1. He, well, he went for a, it was really, it's a charge that Archon all in, but it really looks like a macro build. I mean, the later third base, but there are some later third bases that don't really turn into all-ins necessarily. They just go and they put pressure on, but it's not just this committed, I'm warping in, it's 7 gates. And unfortunately for DRG, he wasn't really able to scout in the main base. He didn't see the fact that there were 4 gateways going down before the third base ended up completing, or ended up even really getting started there. There we go. And with that being said, well, it just kind of bopped. All right, so now everyone's in. Game number 2 it's in the lobby. It's not loaded on up yet. We don't get to go into game quite yet, but it will be on Lightshade here for this game number 2. And this is a map that Zest has been enjoying 2 base carrier on. Actually, he's been enjoying that on like every map. So anyway, we're gonna have to see whether DRG can do what Solar did in the previous ESL Open Cup that Zest was in the finals of. Zest was in the finals of ESL Open Cup Korea on Saturday night, Sunday morning. And he took it to 5 games, but Solar was able to learn enough about how how the Protoss player was playing, and he found the counter, and he killed him in game 5. We're going to have to see whether DRG can do something similar, or whether this will just be Zest in a tour de force, steamrolling his way through. So game number 1, Zest won. Game number 2, it's loaded on up. Let's go. And here we are, spawning in the upper left in the red for Dragon Phoenix Gaming. Give it up for Zest. And his opponent in the bottom left here in the blue for Team NV, he is DRG. Man, I meant to set OBS to record before this. Get a higher quality VOD for YouTube. Shame, shame, shame. I mean, I'll be able to rip it off at Twitch, but you know, getting 30,000 kilobits per second instead of 6,000 is a major difference in terms of quality. So honestly, I don't think we're going to see anything too crazy out of these players in this game. It's Lightshade. It's a fairly decent macro map. It's not as big as previous maps. It's not as big as a 2000 Atmospheres, as a Ice and Chrome, which, by the way, man, I missed Ice and Chrome. That was such a cool map. I mean, maybe not everyone thought so, but we saw some really cool games on that one. And I just tend to be a fan of bigger maps. I think it makes the game more expansive. I mean, I guess that's true. I mean, a more expansive map makes the game more expansive. But what I mean by that is it opens up the game into these really cool late game multitasking all over the place styles that you don't get on a Beckett. Beckett is just who can have a fun cheese and go from there. The game's not going to go late. It is restricted from going late. And I understand that in games like StarCraft, you have to have different types of maps. You just cannot have all big, expansive macro maps. That's just not how it works. That's never going to be good. But it doesn't mean I don't like them more. Or that doesn't stop me from liking them more, I guess. So this is a Stargate opener from Zest once again. And I kind of want to see the carrier build. I want to see him pull it out here on this map. This is a decent map for it because this is a good enough map for a Queen Walk that, for a Queen Roach Walk that DRG may try it. But also, it's a good enough map for the carry build that the DRG will most likely lose to it. So I think this is, there's going to be a map, well, there are many maps. Zest really likes doing this build, but we're going to have to see. Now, this is looking like a good way for this to start because when Zest does this, he actually goes for 3 oracles. Goes for 2 or 3 oracles on into that double Stargate, into the double Stargate fleet beacon. And that's interesting in and of itself because normally, if you're going the double Stargate Void Ray build, you don't get any more than 1 oracle. Normally it's Void Ray into oracle into more Void Rays, and getting 2 oracles kind of tells the Zerg that this will not be Void Ray play. This will not be Stargate play is the better way to say that, is that this will not be committed Stargate play. Well, if you're going carriers like Zest is off of 3 oracles, that's just another little bit away of pulling the wool over the Zerg's eyes. Now, this is not guaranteed by any stretch of the imagination, but we're gonna have to see what exactly Zest is able to get done here. Now, the oracle's gonna take some damage, but Queens don't have quite enough to kill it off. Oh, hey, it's Annette the Bird. Yeah, I saw you this morning, and I've seen you this evening. Or I don't know where you are in the world, but for my morning and my evening. But it looks like it will just be a double oracle here. Okay. Oracles are going to defend this 3rd base from shenanigans. Actually, they should be pulled back on this with the Zerglings here. That's some static defense and a 3rd base that's going to come under pressure. So yeah, the Oracles will have to get pulled back to defend this. And the pylon may go down, but pylon for a bunch of Zerglings, maybe not the best thing. But the Adepts have found their way on into the 3rd base here. And 4, 5, 6. This is going to be a lot of drones going down. There is literally no army here for DRG. Yeah, he's got a bunch of Queens. But this is going to be 10 workers, I think. Yeah, 10 workers will go on down. Maybe, actually, we might even see an 11th. 11, is he going to get the 12th? He will. 12 workers for, what was that, 4 Adepts? Yeah, 12 workers for 4 Adepts is absolutely massive damage indeed. And behind this, Zest is going for a Twilight Tech. He is going to get +1. This is not going to be the carrier build that I thought it was. So 4 more gateways are on the way behind this. Zerglings are going to try to get commensurate damage, but I mean, they're going to struggle here, not with the Oracles here defending. Although that being said, only 1 Oracle he is here to defend, so we will have to see some Warp-ins. And, oh, look at that, one sentry is not saved, so the sentry will go on down. And this is starting to be a problem here for Zest. I don't know where his Warp-ins are. But he sent his Oracle across the map thinking that he could hold Warp-ins, and that was very much not the case. But anyways, Zest is going to go for Blink +1 here in this game. Wait, it's a Zergling Queen Walk. This actually looks just really good for DRG. I'm sorry. I assumed that wasn't. I mean, that Zest was just going to be able to get this 3rd up, but this is a dead 3rd, I think. Now, yeah, you know, Zest, he's going to shield battery up his natural, but he has none of his tech ready yet. So this is just a dead 3rd, and DRG is punishing Zest for losing 4 Adepts, I guess. I mean, I like the move. Killing off 12 workers for 4 Adepts is a fantastic value proposition, but not if 4 Queens walk across the map and kill your 3rd. So now the 3rd base will go on down here, and Zest is just going to try to walk these Queens home, but oh, that of course is going to be somewhat decent. A couple more Zerglings will die. But you got to remember, right? Zest is on, I think, 6 gateways. He will have Blink. He will have +1. Zerglings will not be allowed in. And I mean, even if the Zerglings kind of honestly, I feel like you allow the Zerglings to filter through the first wall and just kind of body block them at the second, so the cannons are able to kill more of them. But +1 is done in just about 15 seconds. Blink the same, and you gotta imagine Zest is just gonna look to get aggressive here. I mean, yes, he's gonna retake his third base, but losing that third base was pretty painful, and you would expect him to maybe try to do something to counteract that, but he doesn't have any warp pins across the map. He does not have a warp prism. He does not have a robo until just now. And that means he's really not going to be able to achieve what he wants in this game. So that allows DRG to find his way back on in. Now, granted, it's not perfect. DRG has still lost a lot. But killing off that third base, as well as I think it was like 5 or 6 probes, is a step on the way to equalizing this game just a little bit. DRG has a massive supply. Oh, I love this from Zest, actually. So he is getting a robo bay behind this, and he's just going to look to defend his third. Right? He can't really, as much as I think he wanted to probably get some damage done. I mean, he's not realistically going to be able to get too much done with this. Not when he's down double the army supply of his opponent. So this is just posturing. This is knocking down creep. But I don't expect him to really try to get too much done here. But look at this. DRG's setting up a decent flank. I think that's a bunch of roaches here on the left-hand side. But no, Zest is going to be able to get back. Boom, safe in time. But DRG says, yes, Zest, I see what you have. I see what your upgrades are. Now is the time for me to maybe try to get some damage done. As the bios are going to land, and it's not. But look at this. The Oracle would be able to knock down, at the very least, some of these Ravagers. And that Stasis Trap's going to be massive. We'll keep the Zerglings off of the static defense, at least for the time being. And more Stalkers getting warped in. But here's the thing. This is the thing that Zest needs to really hold in this game. It's not Stalkers. I mean, Stalkers are nice, to be sure. Those force fields are going to be damn good, especially with +1 and Blink. Oh, that follow-up is even better. So, wow, that's really good here for Zest because he's trying to make this ult, but the Zerglings are going to come out of the Stasis Trap just in time. That's going to be a bit of a force field, an organic force field there from DRG, but here's the thing. Disruptors are on the way, and actually they're going to pop out right on the third base as well, which is really nice. And Queens, Ravagers against Disruptors, they're not very good. So the longer this does go for Zest, the better. Again, it is going to be for him. He will have 2 Disruptors by the time that DRG's push really comes in earnest, I think. And, well, he's going to have charge as well, eventually. +2 will be done. He has additional gateways on the way. There is a timer on DRG in this game. Assuming he does not decide to tech up, which it does not look like he is, there is a rather significant timer on this game. Now, DRG, for his part, he's going to go for a bunch of Banelings, for a bunch of speed Banelings with +1. And it's not terrible, but I mean, Zest is advancing his tech path as well. He's going to charge lot Immortal Archon. He will have those Archons for the next fight. Banelings are not all that great against Stalkers, but they can be decent if the Stalkers are clumped up. Even after the Baneling nerfs, they're never going to be good against Archons. That just never will be a thing. So with the additional Archons that I do expect Zest to make here, it's going to be pretty happy. Now, Zerglings are going to try to find the space, and they may force cancel even with the Stalkers playing on top of it, but that will not be the case. And now, +2 range is on the way, +1 melee just about done. That's a lot of chargeless or zealous that are on hold position, so it's not really going to get baited on out. But Baneling speed is 3/4 of the way done, and maybe that's the move here. That is a lot. That is so many Banelings. That suddenly a lot less Banelings. Indeed, as these Disruptor shots are going to be absolutely massive here. DRG's trying to push on in, and yes, some of the Banelings will connect, but I mean, the Zealots are just kind of in hold position, which maybe is not the best thing. I mean, there are still so many Banelings left over, but at the end of the day, the supplies are equal. Actually, Zest is an army supply lead, and that is kind of a problem for DRG. His Baneling speed's done now. Man, imagine if he waited until attacking right now, and he would have +1. He would have Baneling speed. So now we do have the army of Zest. It's moving out on the map here, and honestly, it's a little bit disconnected. So the Immortals and the Stalkers here on the left-hand side, they may run into some problems. The Banelings connections are going to be fantastic indeed. That Disruptor, I don't even know what it is doing, but suddenly it looks like it was looking real good for Zest, but the Banelings are going to crash on in. The Warp Prism's going to get targeted down, and the Archons will warp in just to die. And yes, this Immortal and the Blink Stalkers on the left-hand side are going to do something, but going on creep against that many banelings that were still left over with no storm. I don't know, Kev. Yeah. Sorry, in your morning, it's your night. It's the same is true here. I'm on the East Coast, so it's my morning. It is my night. And I'll tell you a secret. If anyone ever talks in my chat, I'm really excited. I like meeting people and I like talking to people, and it's a whole lot more enjoyable to sit here and cast and stream if I have people to interact with in chat, or I mean, if I got a co-caster that kind of takes up for that, which is good because, you know, in a major tournament or in a bigger tournament, right, it's kind of hard to interact with chat quite as much. I mean, if you're not casting the game, you'll see, you know, in ESL or something, you'll see Maynard or Zombie Guard, they'll be in Twitch chat, but that's a little bit different. And, you know, on those bigger streams, it's not the same. But anyways, yes, cheap, Net the Bird, cheap. Now, no, I'm not accusing you of being overly frugal. I'm just speaking your language. So we do have a hive on the way here from DRG, and is that? Yep. Okay, that was blocked. But I do like this. We do have Warp Prism speed on the way, so that will it's going to be a rapid disruptor delivery mechanism for our red Protoss player. But what I don't like is the supply. That is, I mean, the disruptor flank though could be really nice indeed. But again, the supply is not all that great. That's kind of the scary thing. Yes, if Zest is able to really, you know, take what he wants, it's going to be good. But now we're going to have to see the disruptor dropped on in here. And that, oh, you know what? It's going to be good, but it's not going to be as good as it possibly was going to be. But you know what? Honestly, really good move there from Zest. But here's the thing. +2 Banelings crash on into the third base. 24 probes go down. And now Zest, he's on 35 workers. He's on 52 army supply. He's got to make something happen. And I don't know what that something is, because in all honesty, his army can defend. I'm not sure it can go into the game. And that's really what Zest needs. He doesn't need to do damage. He needs to end the game right now. He is down 50 workers, and he's down 30 army supply too. So it's not like he has this massive army supply lead in exchange for everything else, and that's going to be it. No. Zest is in a really bad spot now, and I don't really know what he's going to be able to do to come back here. It's not like he's got Sky Toss on the way. He's going to be able to lean on that. It's not like he has a massive army. He's down 40 army supply. Now this Warp Prism with speed is being annoying, and the disruptor delivery mechanism is a bit of fun. But I mean, the Zerg is on creep. And the Banelings are going to come rolling on in. Is Zest going to have the pull that he needs here? Oh no, Zest to be paying attention. He is now 9 probes still go down though, because I mean, Banelings are +2 Banelings are powerful indeed. And A is just going to get some static defense. Meanwhile, of course, we do have this push on into the third base, or the fourth base now, I guess, and that's not going to get a lot done. And Zest has done a decent job of reprobing, but I'm just very worried about the Vipers. I'm worried about the Ultras that are going to come on in, because that really is what DRG is going for. Now, this with some decent disruptor shots, maybe he's going to be able to get something done, but certainly not on creep. Everything is too fast for that. And Zerglings are going to come rolling on in here. Well, I guess sprinting on in to this third base. Zest functionally is on 3 bases. He has 42 workers. That is 3 base economy. DRG is on 5. He's getting his 6th. Oh, these stalkers, they need to blink backwards real quick. Yesterday, in fact. Beowulf the Rap God, spitting bars. Or unless you're saying that, you know, I ate some granola bars and it's getting a little, I'm getting crumbs everywhere, which is always a possibility, but I have not eaten any granola today. So there is that. I did make some really tasty pitas, but now we do have the Banelings there, or excuse me, the disruptor shots are going to try to get what they can, but they will not get anywhere near enough as the Banelings there come rolling on in here. Yes, there are Archons, but I'm not sure DRG even cares. It is 82 army supply, 82 supply to 180, and you know what? Okay, yeah, this is not going to work, but it's surprisingly better than it was. Disruptors are going to get yanked on in here, and that's going to be it. GG DRG, he takes the game. Zest had the temerity to move out on DRG's side of the map, and DRG said, no, no, no. Slap, slap, slap. Not today. Not today, DRG. You don't get to make that happen. Or you don't, Zest, excuse me, you don't get to make that happen. So now, it's a 1-1. that we have a series on our hands. I was kind of worried after game number 1 that Zest was, I don't know, being a little bit, it was just going to steamroll this. He looked good against everyone he played, granted. There really was no one of note on the top side of the bracket. Enjoy your game, Annette. Enjoy your name or your game, especially if it involves, you know, picking at seeds or hammering at wood, I guess, or pecking at wood, or flying long distances without stopping. Seriously though, the migratory patterns of albatrosses are just kind of insane. They go so far without, they travel like, they cross the Pacific. I think, no, they travel north to south. They'll go over like massive oceanic distances and just never stop. It's insane. But what's also insane is the skill level of our players. Game number 3, it's loaded on up. Let's go. We are spawning in the upper right in the red. For Dragon Phoenix Gaming, he is Zest. And his opponent in the bottom left in the blue. For Team NV taking game number 2, he is DRG. And talking about cool bird migratory patterns, I was listening to a, I guess not a podcast, but a segment on a radio show. And this guy had apparently written a book on like all the different hummingbirds that exist in the world, and there are ones up in the Andes that pretty much die every night. Like, it gets so cold that their normal like 1,000 beats per minute heart rate goes down. I think it's like 45, which is insane, right? It goes down to nearly nothing compared to what it normally is. But they need that, of course, because you burn so much energy, right, beating 1,000 beats per minute, and you also burn a lot of energy staying warm. So if you can slow your metabolism down like that, you can survive the like decimal points above 0 Celsius that the Andes get down to at night, even in the summer. Also, it's thinner air like that. The fact that there are the fact that there are hummingbirds in the Andes is really cool. I don't know. I'm not a big bird guy, but I like cool facts. Subscribe to my channel for more bird facts. Something like that, right? That's what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm not supposed to be talking about the game. I'm supposed to be just shilling my channel up the wazoo and telling you all that you need a sub to my channel, that you need to, you know, donate to me or drop bits or at the very least follow, whatever the case. I don't know. But I'd rather talk about the game and bird facts. So we'll be a Stargate here from Zest, and that was Warp Gate into Stargate actually. So this is more of the trap build. And that is interesting indeed, because this is not something that we've seen nearly as much lately. It was popular for a little bit of time, especially if your name was Trap. Thank you, Annette, but it's not a fresh haircut. Maybe I did my hair differently. No, you know what it is, actually. I got my hair cut like 3 weeks ago. Maybe I'm due for another soon-ish, but try to do it like every 6 weeks. But you know what it is? I have better lights now than I had them for this morning, but before that I didn't have it. And with that being the case, my hair actually shows up on stream. It's not just one amorphous blob of darkness that it kind of previously was. And I've kind of messed around with my camera settings a little bit to make sure everything looks a little bit better. So maybe that's what you see. I don't know. But that was one oracle. We do have a second oracle on the way. And if we see 3, I think I'll get my wish. I think we'll see the carrier build. Let's see. I don't know. It's like I'm kind of of 2 minds about this carrier build up, because on the one hand, like 2-base carrier, it shouldn't work. It shouldn't work. But on the other hand, it's kind of cool and it's new and it's novel, and I want to see it so I can see it get beat. I can see it get consistently beaten, because it goes against my every sense of what should happen in this game. But no, it's gonna be 3 oracles. We do have 2 more gateways on the way. Makes me think this may not be what I was kind of hoping for. So it's gonna be 4 gate off of this and 3 oracles. So most likely this is not going to be the second Stargate into the fleet beacon that we've seen Zest doing a little bit. A 4th? Wait, is this going to be like a 4 Oracle Glaive Adept all in? If you no, yeah, if you keep showing on up, I will be forced to Google things and like start looking up things and making sure that I have plenty of bird facts, but every time you show on up. So 4 Adepts are warping on in. There is a 3rd base, but this was a late 3rd, and we have 4 oracles. This is a Oracle Adept. Not, I keep wanting to say Glaive Adept because we don't see Adepts otherwise, but this is a Oracle Adept attack. And you know what? Oracles, they will nuke these queens down like that. So the Adepts are going to shade on into the main base here, and Oracles are just going to defend them. So now the Adepts are going to try to kill off these queens. There is a Spore here. The Oracles need to be careful to not be in range of that, and they need to all target down the same target. So 1 queen will go on down. These Adepts are not getting what they need here, and this did not work. 2 drones have died. That is it. Zest, it was a really cool build. I admire you for trying it. But unfortunately, at the end of the day, it's not going to be enough. So 3 oracles still remain, but the other calculus of this says, yes, if you go for 1 oracle, who cares? You can get 0 damage and you're totally fine. 2 oracles, you want to get something. 3 oracles, you really need to get something. 4 oracles, and you commit a bunch of adepts to it too. You better kill the Zerg, because he is about to be out for blood. Now, eventually, this Zergling run by should get dealt with, because I mean, it is 3 oracles, and Zerglings are light units, and oracles kill light units really quickly. But I love this response from DRG. He's like, yeah, okay, you went for all of this, you committed all of this gas to an attack that didn't work in the slightest. How am I going to punish this? I'm going to get some mutas. And that does make a lot of sense. That being said, Zest is opening Blink. He will have Blink in +1 eventually. But look at this. The Zerglings are going to find a bunch of these sentries, and the shield battery overcharge is not here anymore. So the sentries are starting to die. 2 sentries do, I think it was actually 3 sentries. 3 sentries will die, and that's a lot of gas. Zest has lost a lot of gas this game. He's lost a lot of everything this game, but specifically, he's lost a lot of gas indeed. Now, the Oracles will find a couple transferring drones, and that's going to be something. But another Oracle will go on down, so it's now only 2 Oracles here. With the Queen's Transfuses, Oracles can't fight anymore. So here we are. Zest, he's adding a bunch of additional gates. I mean, it makes sense. He does have a 3rd base. He does want to make up for the fact that he does have 3 base economy, so he can make that happen. So this is not like, I'm adding 7 gateways because I'm going to go all in. Yeah, Zest does kind of have weird builds today. He did it also, he played a couple weird builds in the ITEX Ignition Pro Series against Solar too. But I feel like this is just him trying to play against the meta. Zest is always known for his really crisp builds that he comes up with. I mean, he doesn't play a lot of them. He doesn't play a lot of different builds, but the ones he does tend to be very good. So I think this is in part Zest just kind of experimenting, trying to see what exactly is good right now. What can he do to play against the meta? How can he punish Zerg for playing a normal style? And the carrier build seemed to be really good for a bit. It almost beat Solar. I mean, Solar only won 3-2 and just barely in Korea on Saturday. This is 10 gate Stalker coming on in here. I mean, that's actually kind of scary, especially with this stasis trap that's actually not going to get anything done, but it's a cool idea. Now that's a lot of dead sentries, and again, sentries are kind of what makes pushes like this work. I mean, Blink is powerful and +1 is powerful. 10 Stalkers at a time is powerful, but it's the sentries that carve the Zerg army up that makes it not able to fight as one. All right, we're gonna have to see one more bile on that pylon, but that will not be successful. And again, it feels like DRG every time he's like, yes, Spire's the answer, right? I'm just gonna punish my opponent for existing. I'm gonna get a bunch of mutas and I'm gonna fly around. And then just every time he sees Zest or whoever it is, go and say, yeah, I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna attack you before you're able to make use of the Spire. And then it's 200 that you really can make use of, but DRG, he's just going to punish this anyways. He says, oh, yes, okay, Blink Stalkers. That's going to be a GG. DRG takes game number 3. I play Zerg. Hennet the Bird. I do play Zerg, which is funny because I do a lot of stuff. There we go. Corn Muscles have got me. I do a lot of stuff for the Alpha X YouTube channel. Actually, ! YouTube in the chat there. And so I do a lot of stuff for their YouTube. And I see a lot of people say, oh, this caster's so biased. Very clearly he loves Terran. And I'm like, no, actually, I don't play Terran. I'm not really biased for Terran. I just sometimes, you know, you see Maru bopping someone and you got to acknowledge the fact that Maru is, in fact, bopping someone. I think Cord Muscle's racist. He doesn't play. Actually, yes, I believe Corn did play Protoss back in the day. Now he's a dirty crafting streamer and my microphone aficionado and just an overall good dude. So actually, yeah, while we're here, make sure that you go check out Corn Muscles. Make sure you go check out his stream. He does some pretty cool stuff. He does a lot of crafting stuff, perler beads and embroidery and cross stitch and a bunch of other stuff. He actually sent me a Zerg magnet that's sitting on my fridge. But anyway, we do have our 4th game and our first series point coming on up here. It is Zest versus DRG. You knew that one. Let's get on in. Spawning here in the bottom left in the red, down 1 game in the series, but trying to fight his back, claw his way back to game number 5. He is Zest. And his opponent here on match point here in the bottom right in the blue. Give it up for the man from Busan, DRG. And look at this DRG. Honestly, I've seen this build a decent, not every time I see a ZVP on Blackburn, but enough that it seems to be popular. And this is not gold based into Speedlink Flood or gold based into Roach Flood, something like that, which is kind of what you expect, because the longer this game goes, of course, the more vulnerable the gold base is. It's the easier it is to just drop 2 adepts, to drop a couple stalkers, void ray, oracles behind that mineral line and really prevent it from mining. So notionally, you would think the best use of a natural like this is to get it and make use of it as fast as possible, turn it into an all-in. But Blackburn is kind of hard for a Zerg to all-in for the first little bit of time. I mean, it's a longer rest distance. Yeah, Maru is often bopping people, but it's kind of funny. They're like, oh, this guy, very clearly, he's a Terran player and he's super biased towards the Terrans, which is just not true. It's kind of funny how untrue that is. But anyway, I guess it's because I cast a lot of TVP, just funnily enough, with the Alpha X channel. A lot of stuff I do for them just tends to be a TVP. Anyway, Zest, he's opening up with the Stargate once again. This time it will be Stargate before Warp Gate, and so it's easier to scout, of course, but also it does mean you get oracles just a little bit faster. And honestly, nothing else really makes sense on this map other than opening Stargate, because it's short by air, especially if you avoid the slow zones, and on top of that, it's kind of hard to take 3rd base. So you get what you can to make sure that that is possible. And again, this is the issues. This is the issue with taking this base here. Is now, okay, the Adept's going to shade on top of the Zerglings, but Zerglings don't have speed, and it's only 4. So that means the Adept is going to be totally fine. Now we're going to have a second Adept behind here, and I'm not totally sure what the Zerg is supposed to do. Now, there is no spine on the way. There's nothing like that. So DRG, he's just not going to be allowed to mine from this base that he has taken. And Zest, he's going to get oracles, so that's going to be even worse. And this is the issues. This is the issue with expanding here. This is why I like going for some sort of all-in. But now the Adepts are going to try to find their way on out, and now the Zerglings will find them. So this is going to be 2 dead Adepts. And now, for the time being, DRG is going to be able to, to be able to mine from here. But oracles are now on the way, and that's going to be a bit of a problem. But it looks like oracles are going to try to dive on in the main base. It is also difficult, of course, to get creep between these bases, which means it's difficult to circulate queens, which means dealing with oracles and void rays and things like that is a difficult thing indeed. Now the Zerglings are going to try to find their way on it, and they will knock down the Zealot in the wall. So at the very least, they're going to get something done. I don't think, you know what, are they going to get this pylon? They may actually, yeah, they're going to get this pylon. That is unexpected, to say the least. Oracle will pop out as we are, is that our third? Yes, it's going to be a third Oracle here. And these Zerglings are getting more damage done to a wall than I have seen in quite a while here, but the Oracles are actually getting something done. 6 workers will go down at the expense of an Oracle, though. So, again, I think this is damage that's being just about... Oh, more and more Zerglings are going to come on in here, and that means the Adepts are going to go on down, and these Zerglings are actually causing havoc. This is rapidly becoming problematic here. This is forcing so many extra buildings here from Zest that... I mean, as he's stuck on a full wall, it's going to be a while before he gets to third base, just because he's going to have to break down his whole wall. It forces the Oracles home. One Oracle has died. And yes, it will not be carriers. It will not be that build, which I keep kind of cheering for because I want to see it not work. It's going to be a while. And Zest is going Twilight behind this, so it's going to be single gate Twilight, and it will be Glaives behind this. But it's Zealot Glaive, or it's Adept Glaives. Wow, Zealot Glaive sounds terrifying. Wait. So boomerang. So Core Muscles, do you build your own boomerangs or do you just throw your boomerangs? I did not know boomerang tournaments was the thing. That's pretty cool. I need more info. Now, Glaives is about halfway done. Adepts are trying to posture, but honestly, any Adepts that DRG can kill off before Glaives are complete is just a wonderful thing. That is going to make his life so much easier. And look at this. The Queens were walking, and I think DRG kind of has an inkling about what's happening here. It's like, yeah, I don't want to queen walk into this necessarily. I just want to go and spread my creep and get as many roaches and Zerglings as I can and prepare for the counterpunch. But for right now, I'm just going to hold, right? I just want to make sure that I don't take any damage. And then once I don't take any damage, I just hold it off and it's fine. But look at this. So the Adepts are just going to go behind the mineral line here. I mean, that just means they're going to deny mining here from this third base for a while. No, actually, yeah, they're just not going to get anything. And they're going to target down the Spore, of course, but it's not DTs. Actually, I really love how Zest is using the map here. Okay, there we go. It's going to be a recall. This will be found, and now is the time for DRG to get active on the map. He's like, ah, yep, okay. I have prevented you from getting any damage done, but I have a scary army. So I'm going to go try to make use of that here. Look at this. Zest is going to try to move out on the map with these Adepts again. And that just means that he's not really going to have much of an army. A couple Stalkers were warped on in, but that is primarily an army of static defense more than anything else. So, well, okay, actually the Zerg army is running home for the time being, as the Oracles will be able to knock down all of these Ravagers, but the Queens are walking. And with the Queens walking here, that means there's not going to be really much of any defense at home for these Adepts. So we're kind of in this weird position where both Zest and DRG are trying to posture on the map, trying to give this idea of strength that they may or may not have. And both players, because of it, are strong in one area, but very weak back at home. Oh, is that Oracle? It's not going to go down. So DRG, he is posturing here like he wants to all in, but he's not. Right? He's droning behind this. He's getting his upgrades. He's taking his fourth base. And that means that Zest is going to say, oh, you know what? You are taking a little bit too much time, my friend. Now I feel comfortable moving these Adepts on in. 5 workers will go down immediately. And then they're going to shade on that when all the Zerglings show up. DRG really needs some crew spread up on the high ground. There we go. He will complete that. Now Zest, we have a Forge on the way. We have Blink on the way. Zest has survived the scary part because it is very hard to take a third base on this map. It is so wide open. But if you're able to accomplish it and you're able to lock it down, fourth base is a lot easier. And also, the key part of this map is it is hard and it's rather difficult to get the creep spread that you're looking for on this map. There are so many different pathways and so many things that block creep that DRG, I mean, he's got really respectable creep spread, but it's not quite where he wants it to be, right? He would really like this to spread a little bit further, own that middle portion of the map. But now that the third base has been established here by Zest, and now that the fourth base has been established by DRG, we're going to get to that really cool portion of this map that we don't always get. But we're getting to that portion of the map where I got really excited about it because of how it opens up and how big it gets and how dynamic it gets. The map has the potential to make some really cool games, but unfortunately, the map is so good for early aggression that we often don't get there, right? Especially when there's a Terran on the map and they have such good siege tank positions and they're able to abuse the rocks so well. But once those rocks go down and once the players start kind of expanding everywhere, this map, I think, has the potential to be as good as Golden Wall is, assuming you get out of the early game. But there we go. Now we got +1 air attack on the way. Zest is getting ready to transition into Sky Toss. And, well, DRG, he has a big army. He's sitting here +50 army supply. And he's just posturing, right? Yeah, 10 oh, okay, there we go. 10 meters are going to be on the field, so it's going to be a lot of Roachling Ravager Queen on the ground, but the mutas are the goal here. So carriers are going to be on the way. I mean, 2 carriers at a time coming on out, and mutas don't fight carriers all that well. But if DRG can fly in there, get as much damage as he can, maybe even knock a carrier down with his mutas before they hit critical mass, and then just transitions into corruptors, maybe I don't hate it. Oh man, these stasis traps, they're going to cause such a problem for DRG because DRG doesn't have any detection. So, well, he does, but it's really far back from the army. So now Zerglings are going to try to spill on in. One stasis trap is going to get triggered, but not all that much actually. Second stasis will not get triggered. Now the mutas are flying on into the main base, into the natural. We're starting to see the probes go on down. The army here from DRG is primarily adept. It is primarily air. So the mutas are going to find the third base. Now the stasis trap is somewhat decent, but the army is still fighting. The force field's not really doing all that much, but the mutas aren't doing all that much either because they're just aggroing onto these cannons. And when you aggro onto the cannons, you're not fighting the probes. That is the goal of the mutas here. That is what they need. Actually, did a carrier go down though? Did not. The carrier was not out by the time the mutas flew on in, but now the carrier has arrived, getting its full on interceptors, and we just have a lot of mutas here on the way for DRG, which, granted, mutas are not great against carriers, but if it's like 30 mutas against 1 carrier, I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer. We do have stalkers though. We do have blink done, and that does mean that these mutas are not going to be as absolutely suffocating as they otherwise would be. But now that there's a lot of mutas, they do have +1 in 12 seconds. They don't have it yet, but that doesn't really matter. They're going to be able to dive on top of these stalkers, and they're going to get the Stargate with the carrier coming on in. They're just taking the fight against the stalkers at this point. As the roaches, the ravagers, and the queens are going to try to take the fight outside of the natural. The files are going to land not as good as they would otherwise want, but somewhat decently. Now the mutas, they're going to just try to target down this Stargate because they are fighting these stalkers really well right now. So the Stargate is going to get targeted down, and it's going to only be 1 carrier at a time for the time being. So there we go. Only 1 carrier at a time now. It will come out though. And the mutas, they're just going to look for it, and they will be unsuccessful because now we have 2 carriers. 2 carriers vastly better than 1, and they do have +1 as well. So with these mutas out, I would really like to see DRG go on into corruptors behind that, but now the mutas are just going to dive onto this carrier, but they will be unsuccessful. There are stalkers on the ground. That being said, though, DRG is taking every base on the map at this point. He has, what is this, 4? He has 6 bases, and he's just going to look to abuse that. Oh, the mutas are going to find a carrier. The mutas are going to find a carrier really easily, so that's just a dead carrier. Stalker's playing on top of that, doesn't matter. Second carrier is going to go down as well, and when you only have 1 carrier production, losing a single carrier is just so painful in this map. On the map, that is so expensive. So now DRG, he's doubling the army supply of his opponent. And yes, the static defense is powerful, but we don't have any stasis traps anymore. Now mutas are going to dive on top of this third one. And with no carriers here, okay, there is a shield battery overcharge, but the mutas are just going to target that down. And okay, I mean, they're fighting the interceptors, I guess, and this is not the best fight here for DRG, but if he's able to just slowly whittle down the tech of our Protoss player, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it does, right? You do want to trade somewhat efficiently, but he's knocking down the economy. He's on 76 workers. He's just building more and more and more mutas, but 2 more Stargates completed. We have Andean Pulse Crystals on the way, plus 2 Andean Pulse Crystal Phoenix, means that these mutas are going to, there's nothing that they can do. They're going to be out of this game. DRG will not be able to trade efficiently with them. So this is what I'm saying. I want to see corruptors. I want to see, if this is going to be the game that DRG wants to play, he needs corruptors. He needs to be able to have some bulk here to deal with the Phoenix. But maybe he says, look, I don't really care. I have +2 ground. I'm just going to dive on top of everything. You're going to have Phoenix, sure, but I'm just going to flood you with Zerglings at that point. Your ground army is going to die. And I don't hate that. Look, notice the Mutas, they're not even trying to fight the Phoenix. They will get 1. They're going to get 2, actually. That's going to be fantastic indeed. Mutas just sitting on top of the army here of Zest. The Mutas, yeah, they're hard countered by Andean Pulse Crystal +2 Phoenixes, but it's not going to be enough because the rest of the army does die. DRG, he takes the series. And that's going to be that.